Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 28 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King of What If Naruto Became the Shadow of Konoha, and enjoy that. And over on Anime King 3, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a one-of-a-kind prodigy. So go ahead and enjoy that, guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode start? The intro. So the last part we left off, Gaara forced were being overwhelmed by the amount of numbers that were spreading. As they could not handle it, it was too much for them. And they would be overrun very soon if they did not do something about it. Gaara faced off against the new troops that came from Kumo, the Kinkaku members. As Gaara took on 8 of them, killing them, but the others attacked him as he was hit viciously. He was brought down. They start to move forward until Naruto arrived. As he stepped in between the remaining 12 members, as a fox snorted in his head at their pitiful attempt of trying to master Bijuu's chakra. As he showed them what a true Jinchuriki is like, he eviscerated them. None of them stood a chance. He just eviscerated them all by himself. They tried, but whatever they did not compare to the amount of speed and strength that he truly possessed. As he showed them that, he took out the captain as the captain was shocked that he was taken down so easily. This man, he was no match for him as he fell. As Naruto turned his head towards the 7,000 plus that remained, he allowed Kurama out, and the power fluctuated and formed the 9 Tails Fox. The members were stunned. They were not prepared for a situation like this, as the beast attacked, ripping and shredding. It was chaotic as Gaara and his forces were blocked by a wall of sand. Once it was over, as Gaara turned towards his forces as he saw the massive beast start to shrink as Naruto landed on his feet. Meanwhile, as Minma had arrived in time to help Jiraiya, along with Sasuke and Sasami and the other members, the both of them did a massive collaboration attack that dwindled their chakra down rather easily because it was so chaotic. Thousands of ninjas were obliterated. As Minma told them to rest, they will handle the others, as he released a massive wooden spike that ripped through the entire field, decimating the troops. They won, but it was not the end, as the white Zetsu started to make their way on the field. All of them started to emerge. Countless white Zetsus. It was hundred thousands. As 50,000 went towards the Minma and 50,000 went towards Naruto, the masked man had come towards Naruto and told him to hand over the Rinnegan and his troops will be spared. But Naruto did not answer him, as he wasn't going to give him a damn thing. He told Naruto that he would come back when he was sure that he had an answer for him. As Naruto and Minma were overwhelmed by the sights, everyone was. But then Naruto and Minma felt something was off about these creatures. Something that bonded them to them. Most specifically, the Mokiton. As they could use that to their advantage. The both of them knew that it would take a whole lot from them, but they had to, as both boys fused their hand with nature and merged into everything, feeling out for the chakra until they finally grabbed it as they yanked it towards them. The white Zetsus felt their body twisting and writhing. It was too much for them to keep a normal shape as they turned into trees. As the place was beautiful once Naruto and Minma were done. As the 50,000 on both sides fell, the troops cheered in excitement as they didn't have to go through a battle like that. The masked man lost it, as he told Kabuto to begin immediately On the other hand, Unki and the Raikage wasn't faring so well. Their numbers were dwindling hard, and Unki was cursing for the Akatsuki to show themselves now. He wanted for the masked man to bring out his troops, unknowing that his plan of 100,000 Zetsu just failed. On the battlefield, it was then that Fukaku and the others started to see enemy shinobis rise. But it was no normal enemy shinobis. It was the reanimations. The second Hokage and several others arrived, summoning more reanimations. As the masked man watched as Kabuto brought him a reanimation that made him smile. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the PlayStation for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? We begin this new episode in a white, empty space. Naruto wasn't sure what was going on. He was just drifting here for the last few seconds. That was a scene that he wake up to. He remembered quite clearly what happened when he put those white creatures to rest by turning them into trees. This masked man, he was able to use Hoshirama Cell to create those white creatures. That was a rather stupid idea when facing off against two people that could wield Mohidan as well as the first Hokage. Even though Minma was better than him, he could still manipulate it to some degree. Greater degree than any other person on this planet other than Minma. Not even Yamato come close. As Naruto was unsure where he was now, he was sure that he wasn't dead. He had used so much chakra that it put him to physical exhaustion, but he was not dead, he was sure of that. This was not his mindscape. As he glanced around to the pure, emptiness of it all. It was then that he saw a figure in the far, far distance. The figure was coming towards him slowly. As Naruto turned to face the person fully, the person revealed himself. They had white hair. Their eyes were like his. As Naruto was confused, this was not Kaido Uzumaki that possessed the same nature eyes as him. So who the hell was this? A thought popped in Naruto's mind as he wondered. As in Kaido notes it said there was one other person before his time that had those eyes. That was close to the Sage of Six past time. It was from those history Kaido knew how to manipulate his eyes in a way that Naruto had learned from. Naruto stepped towards the man. The man's smile reminded him of Hiruzen when he was younger. That grandfatherly smile that Hiruzen always gave him when he was younger. As the man looked at him, the man seemed to be in complete peace. His nature eyes glanced around. "Do you feel that?" he said. As Naruto looked around, as he started to see nature spring up all around them. As trees, animals, start to hop around, twisting and twirling into massive trees that were as tall as skyscrapers, like in the hidden rain. The ground got filled with bushes, and the place became a meadow. The man then sat down. "Why don't you have a seat with me?" he said. As Naruto walked over, unsure what this was, but he was sure that it had something to do with his eyes and his emotions. "Would you mind cutting to the case?" said Naruto. "Who are you exactly and what do you want? Does this have anything to do with my eyes? If you don't know, I have a war to get back to." "Quite impatient, are you?" "Well, I guess I can answer those questions. My name is Hayato Osusuke. I am from the once famous Osusuke clan, but by now they are gone from this reality. The last remnants of my clan had died out a few years ago, before your time, long before your time, my boy. You should know, the Sage of Six Path, if you do believe in his myth or not, he was real, and his true last name was Osusuke. I am originally from the clan that was brought down 2 generations through him. These eyes of ours, you realize how unique they are, don't you? Only a few people, if I might say only 3 of us have it, to this day. Me, you, and Kaido Uzumaki. You know Kaido, just through the link that we share between our eyes. I'm sure that he has visited you once." "He has," said Naruto, "and he gave me this cryptic message of forgiving myself." "Ah, the curse." "The curse?" said Naruto. "You see, while our eyes give us beyond human comprehension powers, it also comes with a curse. Have you ever wondered the gap in power between you and your fellow man?" "You mean my strength, in terms of my brothers and others?" "Exactly," Hayato said. "The power that you receive from these eyes is enormous. On a constant daily basis, your body is strengthened. You do not need enough time to recuperate. What may take other ninjas months will only take you a day at most. Our eyes are special in that way, without even a next source of power. As he looked toward Naruto's stomach, you know about the fox. I know everything that you know. Our link, as I said, between our eyes is quite great. Kaido wasn't able to fully get these eyes in a state that you and I have reached so far. What do you mean? Well, he's not able to enter the spiritual realm. He was able to talk to you, but I'm afraid it's only once and a short amount of time. While this will be the first and last time you will see me, I do have more time to explain and talk to you. Although, I cannot tell you what has plagued your illness. What? You mean you can't tell me why I've lost all emotions? Yes, I'm afraid I can't. Then what use are you, said Naruto. Don't be so hostile, my boy, Hayato said. I thought you would know everything, said Naruto. But this is just a waste of my time. How the hell do I get out of here? I have a war to win. You must first know our eyes before you can find the truth. As Naruto sighed, this was really getting annoying. He didn't know what was going on out there. You say you lost all your emotions, but yet your body is reacting in a way to show that you have not. It's been happening recently, said Naruto. But I still don't feel much. Yes, that is so. But as Kaido said, it's up to you. Seems like you have not fully forgiven yourself. But there is something that you must know about our eyes. Not I or Kaido was able to master them to the fullest. We were nowhere close. But you, having your emotions stripped away for so long, it means you are far stronger than I and Kaido has ever been, said Hayato as he looked Naruto up and down. Seems like you have not even tapped into that well of power or used it in a true fight yet. Have you ever truly fought someone to 100%? No, said Naruto. You see now how powerful our eyes make us. And because of that strength, there is a big risk. You made a promise to those eyes. And that's all I can tell you, a promise. I'm afraid I cannot tell you what you made or how you did. But that is the key of getting your emotions back. But given the state that you're in right now, you don't want them, do you? No, said Naruto. Not right now because I need to win this war, but I need them afterwards. Because without them, when this war is over, what will I do? Yes, I suppose you're right on that. But I believe if anyone can find it, you can. You have shown time and time again to break expectations. And I believe that once again you will be whole. And that is the only way for you to completely unlock what your eyes truly possess. You mean there's some sort of power that I have not yet unlocked? As Hayato simply nodded. Cryptic words upon cryptic words. What was wrong with old people and these cryptic words, Naruto thought to himself. Meanwhile, he was there in that chopped away mindscape. Hell was breaking loose in the battlefield. Literal hell. The place was chaotic. Reanimations were running around. And these weren't any normal reanimations. Hanzo of the Salamander, the second Mizukage, the third Raikage, the second Tishikage, Mew. Powerful shinobis were rocking the battlefield. Not to mention the father of Gaara himself, Raza. The fourth Kazekage as Gaara stood away from his army in front of his father. Him and his father never truly gotten along. No, his father was surprised to see that Gaara had changed. He was like a completely different man. There wasn't any craziness in his eyes. The bloodlust, it was not there. His father Golden Dust clashed against his son. The two attacks proving stronger to push back each other. Reanimations were popping up all over the field. Meanwhile, at HQ, Minato slammed his fist into the decks. Damn it, he cursed. This is getting bad before it gets any good. As he looked over towards Shikaku. Inuichi, Shikaku said, "How is the sealing team coming? They have been deployed, but they're nowhere near to their destination. It will take them at least a few hours before they get there." Minato clenched his fists. He had to go. Inoichi, do all the commanders of the battlefield still have my kunais with them? Yes, Hokage-sama. Well then, tell them to prepare themselves. I will teleport the sealing team to them instantly. Minato, said Hiruzen. I have to, said Minato. It will take too long and too much of our shinobis will die facing these unkillable ninjas. We need to get the sealing team there as fast as possible. I have to do this. Hold on the fort until I return. You've been carrying this whole thing with your intellect from the beginning. You and Shikaku. The both you can handle it, he said. It's time I joined the battlefield. The both of them knew that it was the right call, as he had to get the sealing team there. As he gave him a nod, we will keep everything running until you return, Hokage-sama, said Shikaku. Minato gave him a nod as he flashed away. As Hiruzen gripped his fists. Despite his old age, he could still fight, but right now, he was needed here. Alright, he said, as he focused on the perimeter in front of him. Meanwhile, the Raikage was seething with anger. How dare that man disrespect my father like that? The man was pissed off. This was not in the agreements, and he was also angry as well. His predecessor was being used like a reanimation. This was not what they signed up for. They were supposed to be using other enemy ninjas that had died in the past. The triple Konoha, but not the respective ninja village members. The man had gone beyond what they had agreed to. He has not shown his face here since the beginning. It's clear to say that he has betrayed us, said the Raikage. It doesn't matter. At the moment though, we have to pull back our shinobis. We have lost too much, and if we continue like this, continue hitting them with guerrilla attacks, we won't live to see the weekend. Only he knew that statement was bad, but it was right. Let these reanimations, he said, clenching his fist, do their work. Once this is all over and they both annihilate each other, we will wipe out the remaining shinobi force and the Akatsuki as well. We just have to wait until they're weakened. The Raikage agreed with that. It was the only way. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, yellow flashes were flashing around as the people hope started to rise once again as they saw none other than Minato Namikaze moving. Their Hokage, their morale. Even though his sons were out of commission right now, their morale was once again boosting as Minato was teleporting the entire team towards the locations. But something like that was taking a lot out of him as he swallowed a chakra pill. He was gonna do it no matter what. A few more flashes and he had successfully teleported all of the members towards the specific key points. Luckily for him, Jiraiya's team were not being targeted because since the war started they had lost the most, as they had been on the front lines of the 7,000 and Minma took a while to get there. Luckily, Naruto had been there with Gaara before. His whole squad was annihilated by the 7,000 plus. That was his last spot as Minato flashed towards the area. He brought the sealing core. They instantly got to work. Sweat was dripping from Minato's forehead. Despite how tired he was, he still kept to the facade as he would not show them his weakness in these dangerous times. As he marched towards the tent where he saw a Kunoichi from Konoha, one of the few trained by his mother, looking down towards his son. Hokage-sama. As Minato greeted her with a nod. How is he doing? He's recovering at an astonishing rate, Hokage-sama. It will probably only take him a few minutes before he's back on his feet. But what, said Minato? His body seemed to be in some kind of hibernation. It is like he's somewhere else at the moment, she said. Judging from the way his chakra is flowing, it's like he's moving around and talking, but yet he's just staying right here. Minato figured if Naruto was in his mindscape talking to Fox, that must be it. But other than that, his health is completely fine, and he should recuperate very soon. Minato gave her a nod. Once Naruto is back on his feet, he will be needed here, as him, along with Gaara forces, would be marching through to make their way towards the Hidden Stone. The more land they conquer, the more closer they got, but they have to deal with these reanimations first. He tried to walk away until his knees buckled, as he caught himself. Hokage-sama, the woman quickly rushed over, as she gently placed him down towards the ground. Her hands instantly started to glow green as she started to check the problem. She saw the strain in his chakra coils. Sir, you need to rest. It would be ill-advised for me to let you go out there, expending more of your chakra. You've already taken a supplement. to boost your chakra judging from the fast way it's moving. But you need to rest, sir. It is necessary for you not to strain your coils anymore. Minato realized that she was right as he started to feel the fatigue as the pill was wearing off. After all, transporting so much people in such short amount of time, it taxed his chakra very well. As he looked over towards his son, who was just lying there peacefully. Meanwhile, Minma was currently lying down in a field of grass. He didn't know what was going on. He has never been here before. In his mind, he has never been to this section before. He didn't have a crazy mindscape like Naruto. He just had a ball of chakra inside of him, the small percentage of the fox power that he could tap into to rejuvenate himself and when he needed that extra boost. But now, he felt such at peace. Minma didn't know what was going on. When he had tapped into the Mokiton to get rid of the white creatures, he tapped into something else. He wasn't sure what it was at first, but it was so amazing as he was feeling it all around him now. Minma did not master Senjutsu from his summons because he'd already mastered from his Mokiton because he was one with nature already. But there was something else there. As Minma lay there, as the markings were over his face, the black markings that went over his eyes, he was tapping into something completely different. In the real world, what's happening, said Sesame. As she was sitting there, she was still exhausted from that attack with Sasuke. After all, they had took down so many ninjas. A part of her mind was hit with the images of so many dead, but this was a war, and she needed to keep a steady, focused, calm mind in these times of war. She couldn't be thinking about the enemy right now. She needed to make sure her people were safe. And Konoha was not the one that started this war. They were forced into this by those other nations. As Jiraiya was confused as well. I'm not sure, he said. He knew that Minma was tapping into Sage Mode, but he was unconscious. As Sasuke was at the corner of the tent looking down. Hey, watch. All of them saw roots start to broke from the ground. Small roots creating flowers. They watched as the entire tent was filled within seconds like a meadow. Beautiful flowers everywhere. As a pollen that calmed all of their senses was released all over the entire forces. As Jiraiya was confused, the boy's Sage Mode was activated. He wasn't sure what was happening. As Minma was just lying there perfectly calm and still. Meanwhile, with Naruto, as he stood in front of Hayato, the man told him that there was another step of his eyes that not even he had been able to unlock. And Naruto had become the closest to unlock that another step, as his body was already reacting towards it. Although Hayato could not give him any information on how, Kaido was able to accept himself and get his emotions back. So most of what the man was saying about his eyes, Naruto did not matter about that. He only wanted to get the hell out of here, to go and do what he needed to do. After all, without emotions, he really couldn't care more or less what the man was saying. And that's all I know, Kaido said. As Naruto looked towards the man. So, you were around the time of Sage of Sixth Path, but you did not know him personally. But yet you knew some of his followers' children. And they have no idea why your eyes suddenly changed into this eyes when you risked your life to protect your family from a couple of bandits. Hayato nodded. And you gained this amazing ability. You then search all around, where you met various ninjas that possess different elements, and you were able to use them all. And you call these eyes the nature eyes because you had all nature transformation. And you then had kids with your wife. Going down, the generation was passed down into a Uzumaki member, and he had kids with his wife. And Kaido was born, and he gained the eyes that you now possess. But neither your kids or your grandchildren gained that eye. The old man nodded. But by then, the Otsutsuki clan had been dwindled out, members passing because of the war between the Senjus and the Uchihas, and it was erased. That is why we no longer have an Otsutsuki clan. You people called yourself Otsutsuki's because the Sage of Sixth Path followers had come together and taken his name after some of them had pledged their allegiance to his following. Hayato nodded. Well, that was a good history lesson, said Naruto. But how does this help me? I had merely wished to tell you about the history of your eyes. Yes, it's all good and fascinating, said Naruto. After all, I never knew. So much things happened in the past. Because I wasn't there, said Naruto. And it was good to hear from another outside source. But there is something that you haven't told me yet. Did the same thing happen to you? The man looked down. Yes, he said. I was also plagued by this vengeful illness of our eyes. Losing everything that I once cared about. My love for my wife, my children, everything. I do understand why. It is so hard on you. And why you want your emotions back after this war, because you know, if you don't get them back, you will have nothing. You might not care when you don't have your emotions, but when you really think about it, you cannot feel anything. No love. Nothing at all. You might be able to fake it, but after a while, everything will just seem pointless. It became so bad I tried to end my life. But I did not. But you fixed it, said Naruto. Yes, I did. Then tell me how. That's the thing I cannot tell you. I am physically unable to say the words of what happened to me in my past. It's not that I'm not willing to tell you. Our eyes. Each of us have our own way of regaining what we've lost. It seems like our eyes are trying to test us to see if we are truly worthy of the power that we should be wielding. It's a test. You made your eyes a promise. That's all I can tell you. And you need to fulfill that promise. Kaido told you that you need to forgive yourself. But you don't know exactly what for, don't you? The thing is, you need to forgive yourself for that promise. And it will not stop until you do. At the end of his life, Kaido finally understood what happened to him. It is not in the journals because he died before he could write anything about it. Before he could tell you the true reason why you lost your emotions. So you have to figure it out for yourself. As Naruto grumbled at that, well, that doesn't help me, said Naruto, because I don't know what to do. Like I've said, you've done immaculate things in the past. I'm sure you can pull another miracle out of somewhere. But once you do, your eyes will surely grant you the full capability of them. And then and only then will you be able to tap into the power that your eyes truly bestowed upon you. Neither of us have been able to done it so far, but I believe that you, Naruto Uzumaki Senju, can do so. It was a pleasure meeting you, he said. Despite you giving me a whole lot of nothing about my condition, it was great meeting you, said Naruto. Thanks for the story about the past. As the man simply smiled. I'm glad that you listened, he said. I hope you have a wonderful life. As he slowly started to fade away. And you will find out why your emotions are gone. I know you will. And like that, the man was gone. As Naruto's eyes slowly opened, as he saw someone over to the side. It was a girl. As she was from Konoha. Hello, said Naruto. She snapped her head towards his voice. Oh, you're awake, she said. As Naruto slowly pulled himself up as he sat. Where am I, he said. You're still at the 2nd division, with Gaara's company. As Naruto heard that explosion outside. What's happening? A lot has happened since you passed out. I'm here to inform you about everything, she said. She then relayed to him everything that happened, that Minato had told her to tell his son once he had woken up. At that very moment, Minma slowly opened his eyes. As the sage mode was still on his face, the markings, and the power that exuded from him was so calm and peaceful, and yet so powerful and raging at the same time. A complete balance. As Minma looked over to see Jiraiya, Minma was confused because he was surrounded by plants. Nothing but plants. Huh? He said, looking towards his hand. As he once again felt it, he understood now. And it brought a smile to his face. He never thought this was a possibility. But it was. Meanwhile, Gaara was physically exhausted. There was a few scratches on his person, and there was a slice on his cheek. He was being healed by one of the medics. Temari swung their fan as a powerful blast of air blew away the man, but he simply flipped and landed on his feet. Temari panted as she looked around at the remaining forces. Their numbers were dwindling down. They had managed to steal away their own father and 3 other reanimations. But this man, the third Raikage, was a monster. They could not take him down, they could not physically hold him. Their attacks, the man drilled right through them. "He's coming, prepare yourself," she said, as the man shot forward, as his fingers, this time lessened down to 2. The speed and strength had increased. Tamar prepared herself despite her running low on chakra. But before the man's 2 fingers could come anywhere near the group, a flash of light, and something smashed against his fingers. Naruto flipped through the air as he landed on his feet, as he slammed his hand on the ground to stop his momentum. "You're a lot stronger than I thought." "Well, guess you weren't Raikage for nothing," said Naruto. The Raikage eyes were soulless, as he just looked at Naruto. Before they shifted, as it seemed like life got into his eyes. "Ah, Naruto, so you finally recovered." "Who are you?" said Naruto. "Quite smart. Yes, it is not the Raikage, but someone that you wronged in the past. Someone that you forgot. Someone that you thought that was not worthy of your time. Someone that you forgot to kill. Remember, you always kill everyone. So who did you let Kabuto?" said Naruto. Kabuto was taken aback. "Well, I suppose there is no hiding it. After all, I did escape. And with your track record, you don't let anyone escape, do you?" "I made a mistake by letting you go," said Naruto. "But I will find you. And I'll kill you. Once I do, I can end this reanimation." "Oh, it's not that easy, Naruto-kun," said Kabuto, speaking to the Raikage. "But I would like to see you try." As Naruto's face started to change, as he was currently in sage mode, he vanished as he appeared above the Raikage. But the man's reaction was fast. He looked up instantly as Naruto dropped his knee right in the man's face, but he blocked it with his arms. The ground cracked under the weight. The man's knees buckled. The Raikage was a strong man, but Naruto's body enhanced by sage mode, and not to mention his literal physical strength, was more than enough as the man's knees broke down into the ground, showing how far that he sank as Naruto slammed his heel right in the man's face, launching him like a bullet. But the man recovered quite well as he flipped and landed. His body got charged with so much electricity it was dripping off of him. "Get the sealing team ready," said Naruto. "You heard him," said Temari, as Naruto placed his hand behind him as he rushed forward. The Raikage moved, his 2 fingers turned to 1, as he was gonna pierce right through Naruto. At the last second though, Naruto twists, as his body flipped in the air. Kabuto cursed, as not even the Raikage could react that quickly. As Naruto's hand reached out and tapped the man on his forehead, as a seal instantly appeared in his forehead. As Naruto locked eyes with the man, the nature chakra in that seal reverted back to Naruto. Kabuto was alarmed when he felt something jolt his senses. He was confused, but he shrugged it off because he didn't feel anything different. The Raikage brought his hand up and black-handed Naruto away, throwing him as Naruto crashed down towards the ground. But a smile was on his face. He already got what he needed. Now it was time to end this. The Raikage moved towards him once again, his speed tearing through the ground. As Naruto stood there and waited until he dropped his body, the finger passed him by a thread. Naruto's hand then started to glow with an absurd amount of chakra, lightning chakra, as he slammed it into the man's chest, tearing through the lightning veil that was around the man. He then raised the other hand as a ball of magma formed. He slammed it into the opening. The Raikage was thrown back, but it barely even fazed the man. As Naruto flashed away as he appeared above, a Rasengan in his hand as he dropped it down, the Raikage brought his fist that was encased in lightning. As the fist and the Rasengan met, the man tried to push Naruto back, but the Rasengan started to change as it enlarged. Before, Naruto's body started to glow. The Raikage felt his ankles being grabbed as the real Naruto pulled him. The Rasengan, because the man was off guard, slammed right into his face as it exploded. Naruto then wrapped around his body tight as his entire body went off in an explosion that blew away some of the nearby ninjas, forcing them to stand their grounds. As a real Naruto emerged and grabbed the Raikage by his arm and pulled him out of the ground, and lifted him and slammed him hard before he leaped up in the air. His entire body then started to twist. Lava release. Diving drill, he said, as magma leaked from his body and covered him in a drill form. He slammed right into the man's stomach. The magma being so potent and hot, it tear the man in half completely. As Naruto burst through the earth. Now, he shouted. The ceiling team quickly flashed forward as they all wrapped him up tight. The seal was quickly placed as he waited, and he was locked away. As the group started to celebrate and cheer, grateful that he was now taken care of, they can move on to help their other friends. As Naruto moved towards the group, "I need a Yamanaka," he said. "I have some information for HQ." As the Yamanaka quickly came forward and placed a hand on his forehead. "Inoichi." "Naruto. I'm glad to see that you're back on your feet. I need to talk to my father. There's something I need to tell him. It's important." As Inoichi spoke out aloud to Minato, as he came for the Minato, sat down as Inoichi placed a hand on his head. Minato was happy to hear that his son was now okay. He had flashed back to HQ to see how things were going, and things were going well ever since he placed the Sealing Core on the field. "Father, it's Kabuto." "Kabuto?" "Yes. The sneak's lackey. Seems like he's now working for the masked man. And I know where he is." "How?" "I was able to track him using a Fuinjutsu seal, by connecting to his own seal that he used to create these Eotenses. He's out in the coastal area. You need to send someone out there immediately. And someone strong. He know how powerful I am, but yet, he still believed that he could actually keep a fight with me. So I doubt that he has been wasting his time all these months. So, send someone out there with the information I'm going to pass on to Inoichi." "Okay, Naruto. And good work. This information will be vital to ending this." "Okay. Is Minma okay?" Naruto asks. "Yes, he's just fine. I just received information that he's woken up. And he's leading the army to interact with the others, so that he can help." "That's good," said Naruto. As Naruto heard an explosion from the outside. "I have to go," he said, as he cut the communication. Minato made his way towards the map after getting the information in his head, as he looked who was the closest, and he knew the exact persons who he should send out there for Kabuto. Meanwhile, as Naruto watches the masked man look down towards them, as he finally once again showed himself, he released hundreds of paper tags from that hole, as they exploded in front of the group, forcing them back. As Naruto flashed away and arrived right on the ridge once again, as he stood there, looking at the man. So you're back on your feet, huh? Thought it would take you a bit while longer, given what you did." "You mean what I did to your clone?" said Naruto. "You realize that this will not end me, right? But yet you're still running. Why don't you come for me yourself? Are you that much of a coward?" "Not the right place or the time." "That's just a way for you not to attack me." "Well, I guess you're right. You still haven't given me what I want. And I won't give you what you want, Obito," said Naruto. "Well then." "What did you just say?" "That ability of yours is so similar to Kakashi's that it was so obvious. None of the others figured this out yet, but I know who you are, Obito Uchiha. My father's student. Even my mother talked about you. She said that you were a kind, loving boy. And yet you were the one that came to extract 9 tails from her and kill her. That gave me more of a reason to kill you." The masked man went silent. Before he spoke, "Names mean nothing in this world. Believe what you want, and I believe that you're Obito Uchiha. Why don't you take off that mask and prove me wrong?" The man simply chuckled once again. "I told you, believe what you want. It won't change a thing." "Well, I didn't come here empty-handed. I do have a present for you." The swirling vortex opened up, as Naruto's eyes narrowed. He then realized who these two people were. and his body literally retracted on its own. Despite him not feeling that much of a surprise because there wasn't much to feel, because emotions were not there, his body reacted that way as he stepped back. Meanwhile, wood style. Hands off the butter, said Minma as he slammed both hands together. Hundreds of giant wooden arms came from the ground and started to grab. The reanimations, they tried to flee, but they were grabbed as the sealing team moved forward to capture them. Minma didn't know why, but he felt something off. Meanwhile, as Naruto stood there, have fun, the masked man said, disappearing in a swirling vortex. As he was just looking to break Naruto's psyche. As Naruto looked in front of him. Naruto, is that you? A voice said. Huh. Guess I've been gone for a while, huh? You've grown. The man that spoke turned toward his side. And you're the same as usual. As the man had sadness in his tone, looking towards the person beside him. How is this possible? I thought... Reanimation, said Naruto. His voice tone is so empty. You've been brought back with a jutsu. Brother. As Naruto looked down towards Mito. She was the same as you remember her. A small child. She was strapped in her gear when they first went towards the land of Wave. She was the same exact way. As Naruto stood there, seems like we've been gone for a long time, Sensei. Look at my brother. Look how big he's gotten. Shisui, the man that stood beside her, smiled. Seems that way. As Naruto looked towards the both reanimations in front of him. He never knew what happened to Shisui, but given the multiple wounds that he had received, and not to mention lack of chakra after expending it on those missing names, he surely died. And now this was proof. Seems like you've grown into a fine shinobi. You're right. I'm glad that you're okay despite everything that happened. I know that it must have hurt you, Mom, Dad, Minma, Grandma. After what happened, said Minto as she stepped forward. But you're alright. How is everyone else doing? They're okay. Something is wrong. Why do you look like that? What do you mean? Said Naruto. Your face is so blank. That's not Naruto I remember. I know that you've been through a lot by now, but your face is so emotionless. She was always able to read him rather easily. His sister. His beloved sister. A lot happened. A whole lot, said Naruto. The remaining teams then caught up. Stay back, said Naruto. I will handle both of them. Just get the sealing team prepared. As Mito looked towards her brother, she didn't know what happened, but she knew something bad happened. And like usual, he was being stubborn and not telling her. I won't let him defile the both of you like that, by using you as his puppets. I'll get this over with rather easily. Naruto, you will need their help, said Shisui. We can't control ourselves and... It's not a problem, said Naruto. Trust me. Shisui smiled at that, hearing the confidence in Naruto's tone. It seems his one-time student has gotten a lot powerful. Naruto, said Mito, as his eyes looked towards her. It doesn't matter what happened between you since the time of my death and now. I never got to tell you this is my final moments. But you're my brother, and I'll always love you, she said. As Naruto faltered a bit at that, as his eyes looked towards him, but something was wrong. Veins under his eyes started to appear. As his vision got a bit blurry, but he steeled himself. I love you too, sister, he said. I'll end this quick. Hurry, she said. I don't want to hurt you. I can't control myself as she shot forward. As Shisui flashed behind Naruto, he pulled out his tanto as Naruto ducked. Shisui tried to move back, but Naruto flashed behind him. Shisui was shocked by the speed of the sunshine that Naruto used. He then flashed away. As he surrounded Naruto, it was like images. After images all around Naruto as Naruto went through one hand sign. A sonic sound wave was released. The real Shizu was sent sailing as he crashed right through one of the stone beams. As Naruto blocked a punch from Mito and grabbed her wrist, as he flicked her over his shoulder before dropping her in the ground. She tried to fight him off, but Naruto held both of her hands with his only one hand and pinned her down to the ground. Given her size, and the fact that she was never able to mature to her full stage, she wasn't a match for him. As Naruto quickly flashed two hand signs, as his fingers started to glow before he slammed a seal on her back, as the seal burned into her undead skin. As she felt her limbs dropping, she was immobilized. As Naruto looked down towards her, before he slowly picked her up, before he ducked under a swipe from Shizue. He then jumped slightly as he smashed his feet into Shizue's blade. Shizue was caught off guard by his speed and the strength as he was thrown back, as Naruto flashed behind him while still holding on to Mito, his feet weaving through the air as Shizue ducked. But Naruto tossed Mito up slightly, as he reached out and grabbed the back of Shizue's cloak and flicked him and slammed him into the earth. He then picked him up and did a double roundhouse kick that slammed him both ways, before slamming a fist into his stomach. Shizue recalled by the punch, as Shizue flashed away. As he looked at Naruto, seems you've memorized my fighting pattern, even till this day. It's something I will never forget, Sensei, said Naruto as he caught Mito in his arms and placed her down. As Mito had a smile on her face, as she struggled to get out of the bindings, but her face wasn't showing that, she was just smiling. You've gotten all big and strong. Is Minma as strong as you? Or are you still the strongest, she asked, as Naruto got a small smile on his face. That tells it, she said to him. As Shizue felt his body force him to attack, but he tried to resist the pull, as he knew that Naruto must have gone through hell after losing his sister. Taking this moment away from the both of them was something that he didn't want to happen. He could feel his bloodline being activated. Naruto, he said, as Naruto turned to face him, his blade appeared in his hand, and he vanished. For the next 5 minutes, a brutal battle engaged between the both of them, as Shizue watched with nothing but amazement at how powerful his student had become. As he was no match for Naruto, he was sure if he had a living body, he'd have been dead a long time ago. But he also saw the emptiness in Naruto's eyes, like there was nothing that was allowing him to enjoy the reunion. And he hated that he didn't know what happened to him. But Naruto was trying to end this quickly, and he did. Shizue found himself pinned down to the ground, as the sealing team came over and wrapped him up. Thank you, he said, as he gave Naruto a final smile. Tell Itachi and the others, doesn't matter what, I'll always be watching over. As Naruto gave the man a farewell smile. Will do, Sensei, he said. Will do. As he was finally sealed away. Stop, said Naruto, as he saw the sealing team about to seal away Mito. As Naruto made his way over. You know they have to. I don't want to live in a state like this, Mito said. I don't want to ever fight against you, for the reason of trying to harm you, and my body is telling me to do such. I don't want to. I know, said Naruto. Don't worry, I just want to tell you that we're doing fine now. It's hard. It is still hard. We all miss you. Mom had a daughter. Her name is Gatsumi. As Mito smiled at that, we told her about you. She wished she could have met you. I wish I could have met her as well, said Mito. I'm glad that you're all doing fine. I don't know why things happen, but things just do. And I know this situation is not favorable for any of us. But I'm glad that you're all doing fine now. Tell them all I love them, okay? As Naruto felt something run down his cheeks. And you know, big brother. Yeah, I'll say it. You were born first, you're my big brother, she said. I'll always love you no matter what. Go ahead. Seal me away now. I don't want to even think about hurting you. I'll always love you too, he said, as he leaned down and placed a kiss on her forehead. As he nodded towards the sealing team, she got sealed away with a smile on her face. As Naruto reached up and wiped his face, something wet was on his face. Meanwhile, Kabuto was pissed as he saw everything. He was done playing around. It was time that he brought out someone strong enough to at least test Naruto, to at least bring him down, because with him and Minma gone, the morale of this war would drop. And then they go after the Hokage, and then the Kazekage, and then the morale will be decimated for these ninjas. So it's about time that he bring out the ghosts of the Uchiha. After all, he liked to see how his improvements had done to the man, to make him even better than his prime. Let's see how Naruto Uzumaki Senju face off against him. Meanwhile, Itachi and Fukaku were currently making their way. Minato had sent them to take care of Kabuto and end the reanimation once and for all, and they had his locations as they were currently making their way there. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.